experiment 4. It consists of trying to work out the amount of heat generated by the light curing unit and a variety of materials which you're going to use in dental practice. They vary from a resin composite material. This is an anterior material, so it tends to have a little bit more monomer in it than the posterior materials, right down to a glass ionomer cement, which is basically an acid-base reaction, acid-base reaction of a material which releases a bit of fluoride. But because it takes time to set, to give a command set and improve the properties of the material, they've also added resin in this material. In between here we have other materials which have various amounts of monomer. This is a compromer material. It's in a compule form, and it is a cross between the glass ionomer cement and the resin composite material. It has basically resin and glass particles which set using the light curing unit, but it also has a secondary reaction after it's in your mouth where it absorbs water and has an acid-base reaction. The other materials here are a bonding agent for your resin composites and even your compromer materials. You need to stick it down with an adhesive. We haven't got the acid and primer in this, we've only got the adhesive, and we're looking at the heat generated by polymerizing the adhesive, which makes the surface of the tooth hydrophobic, similar to the hydrophobic materials that you've got to use as filling materials. Here we have a Conceal F, which is a resin Pitton Fisher sealant, and that is to change the morphology of the tooth such that there's no little areas where bacteria can accumulate and a toothbrush can't get at to clean. So this is basically all monomer. Sometimes they put a little bit of particles to give it a bit of a hardness. It's a fluoride release, this, but you can also get non-fluoride release. This is basically a cross between preventative and surgical treatment. It is a infiltrant which is used in eliminating white spot caries, in which are just the initial stages of the carious process, where plaque is built up and demineralized some of the surface or subsurface of the tooth but hasn't cavitated the tooth. So you've got a little white fleck on the surface of the tooth, and you want to sort of seal that and change its aesthetics. So the way you do that is etch that little white fleck with literally very strong acid, hydrochloric acid in fact. You then wash that off, use an alcohol to dry it, and then you infiltrate it with this Icon infiltrant. This has got the same refractive index as enamel, hence the little white fleck disappears, and it also seals all the cavity. Unfortunately, it's not radio opaque, so you need to document its usage, otherwise you will not pick it on a radiograph. And the last one, as I said, is a glass ionomer cement. When you mix these two components together, you'll probably see some exothermic reaction due to the acid-base reaction, but once that cools down, you'll just see the polymerization reaction due to the curing with the light curing unit. The only other material that we're using which won't be light cured is this acrylic. You use 3 parts powder to 1 part monomer, and you mix it up into a paste and place it around the thermocouple as you would with all of these materials. You'd only need about a 3mm diameter ball around the thermocouple to get a sufficient reaction. The light curing unit has high power and low power. At the moment it's on high power. I want the experiment to be done at high power, and but I want you to see the difference between high power and low power. There are new units on the market now which are a lot more powerful than these. The low power on this is 600 milliwatts per centimetre squared. The high power is 800. The new units are 3,200. milliwatts per centimetre squared. So they're 4 times the maximum of this, so they generate a lot more heat than these units. So the first objective is to find out the amount of heat generated by low power and high power, and then place the materials in the well, light cure, find out both the heat generated by the light curing unit and the material, and then repeat that experiment after the material has set to see that there is effectively the effect of the light curing unit relative to the light curing unit and the particular material that you're curing, and that difference there should give you the amount of exothermic reaction or heat generated by the different materials. The only other one is the acrylic. You just have to wait for about 5 minutes for that for the polymerization process to occur for this. It is not a command set, so you just have to be patient with that one. The use of the equipment to record the data is using this program. To start it, you press record, press OK. It should initiate the program. Okay, you press thermocouple, press OK, and now it should be recording the temperature of the room, which it is. It's about 23 degrees. We've got the lamp on high power, so if we turn that on, and it's on for 40 seconds, we can see the graph shooting up to record the temperature generated by the high power on the light curing unit. And at the moment it's shifting over up to 29, it's almost 30 degrees. So it's changed from room temperature up to 30 degrees. Now this is where one of the things you need to be careful with light curing units. The new powerful light curing units will only require you to cure for 3 seconds. They're trying to decrease the amount of clinical time you need to take to cure materials, but you must be aware that the energy they put out in 3 seconds is equivalent to something of this older light curing unit that puts out in about 20 to 40 seconds. Now that's turned off and you get the cooling curve. So this is without any material in there. With the material placed around the thermocouple, you'll find that the temperature goes higher. The more monomer there is to cure, the greater the temperature. And this is one of the things you need to be careful of. The pulp will be actually cooked if it's too much of an increase in temperature. The temperature of the pulp will only sustain about a 5 degrees increase before it starts to denature. Right, I'll turn that off by just pressing stop. Now, if you export, you can export the data to Excel. So there's an Excel file should come up. There it goes. Right, so the graph at the graph that appeared on the software program should now appear in your Excel chart. And there it is. You then can just put that on a USB, take the information home and list the different materials that you've just used. Now you'd repeat that again after the material is set to show whatever insulating effect the material has after polymerization. Alright, that's it. Thank you very much.